Just going to get started here and officially. This meeting is being recorded. Just like to welcome everyone again to our June PD Jam. So with me today, my name is Angela L. Cordy. I'm Assistant Professor of Learning Sciences and Educational Leadership at National Louis University at the National College of Education. And today, three of our highly accomplished students, student educators in the master's program for learning sciences and educational technology have prepared presentations for on various digital tools, and I'm sure that you're going to really find them useful and applicable. So the format is there'll be some presentations, there'll be some interactions, and those will be on using various devices such as Jamboards, and participate as you feel comfortable. Then we'll have 10 minutes at the end for questions, and the internet being what it is, and in live presentations, if we don't stick to half an hour for each one, if we finish early or if we go over a little bit, we're really going to enjoy our time with you and respond to your questions and enjoy our journey. Okay, so with that being said, I'll just quickly show our schedule. I think I'm going to start off with here's our schedule. I'm going to start off with Julia Bromberg, and she's going to share with us the integrating digital tools for literacy. Then Laura Rothamer is going to share using Google Forms to collect data in the classroom. And Crystal Solario is going to share digital tools to support creativity and innovation in the classroom. So that being said, just ask for everyone please to mute unless they're talking. And I'm going to hand it over to Julia. So thank you again and welcome.
Thank you so much. I will get us started. And today I'll talk about integrating digital tools for literacy. So just a little bit about who I am. I'm Julia Bromberg. I live in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. I work as an instructional designer at an education technology. So I blueprint and build social studies courses for districts around the country. I have a BA in the teaching of history from the University of Illinois at Chicago. Obviously, I'm getting an MED in learning sciences here at National Louis. I spent 4 years as a social studies teacher. So I taught every single subject except for economics. So it was a busy 4 years. One of my big passions is making technology more accessible for educators and for students. And I am fluent in Russian and English, so just a little bit of background. The learning objectives for this PD, at the end of this, all of you here will be able to examine the benefits of integrating digital tools into the classroom, assess various digital tools focused on integrating literacy into the classroom, and identify how digital tools can improve literacy across subject areas. Looking at ISTE educator standards, the two that I developed this PD around, learner and designer. So educators are continually working to improve their practice by learning from and with others and exploring proven and promising practices that leverage technology to improve student learning and design authentic learner-driven activities and environments that accommodate learner variability. So those are the goals and the standards that we're focused on today. So a little bit of interaction, if I can ask you guys if you're comfortable. I'm trying out this little tool to have you participate. So what you can do is you can scan the QR code on the screen, or you can go to slido.com, that's SLIDO.com, and then enter the code that you see on the screen. So that's 591963. And again, if you don't want to do that, that's absolutely okay. But this is a cool little resource that I use sometimes in my in my work. So I figured I would try it out with you guys so that you don't have to listen to me talk the whole time and you can participate a little bit. Once you have gone on Slido, if you could just let know, what does literacy mean to you? So you can answer as many times as you want. It could be a short answer, a long answer, whatever you're comfortable with. And then once you click submit answer, it will pop up on the screen.
Can you repeat that Slido code for us again?
Sure, absolutely. It is 591963. Reading and writing, comprehension and understanding. Very nice. I'll give us 20 more seconds if you want to add anything. These are great answers. Ooh, great question. We'll talk about digital literacy. Right. So what I'm seeing here, we have efficiency and comprehension in reading, reading for understanding, comprehension and understanding, and reading and writing. So these are really great answers. And we're going to get at like what literacy actually means and how integrating digital tools can improve student literacy. Having the skills to read, interpret, and comprehend written and oral language. Oh my gosh, someone Google that because that is a dictionary definition. That is amazing. Thank you guys so much. Went a lot better than I hoped. So thank you for participating. So first of all, we're gonna why am I even talking about literacy? Why is literacy something that educators care about? Most of us here said that literacy is comprehension, reading and writing related, but it's a lot more than just reading and writing. According to UNESCO, define literacy as a means of identification, understanding, interpretation, creation, and communication in an increasingly digital, text-mediated, information-rich, and fast-changing world. So if you look at the map that I have on the screen, these are global literacy rates around the world. So we use literacy as a global metric to assess the health and competence of communities. That's one of the metrics that we talk about when we evaluate how countries around the world are doing. And we know that high literacy rates have found to correlate from everything to better access to economic opportunity, to better nutrition, to environmental sustainability. So this is an incredibly important metric, and that's why it's something that teachers, although a lot of the times we associate literacy with ELA, maybe social studies, that's why literacy is so essential across all subject areas. When we talk about literacy and standards, we see literacy represented in state standards around the country, and it's also a key aspect of Common Core state standards. And they really highlight that the standard establish guidelines for ELA, history, social studies, science, and technical subjects. So students have to read, write, speak, listen, and use language effectively. These are obviously skills that you do in every single classroom. So although not everybody associates math and literacy, you need to understand key terms. You need to be able to talk math word problems out. So literacy is a part of every single subject. So what are the benefits of digital tools for literacy? First, it leads to increased student engagement. So, and talk about digital tools, I will break down some of my own personal favorite digital tools and how we can integrate them. But in general, overall, digital tools increase student engagement. So when students use these digital tools that we're going to talk about, they engage more deeply with the content that helps them understand information and communicate the knowledge in compelling ways. Very important, assistive technology applications like text-to-speech are helpful for students with learning disabilities. So these digital tools can help students overcome challenges that might be a barrier to their learning. It really puts students in the center of the classroom. It allows students to take more control over their learning. Instead of it being a more passive experience, they're really much more active. Digital project-based learning increases comprehension. It allows students to use a variety of platforms to make connections, to apply what they've learned to other mediums. And then obviously we're all educating 21st century learners. So we want to make sure that our students, once they leave our classroom, are able to go into the world and deal with all of the technologies that they're going to be expected to know how to use. So digital tools increase students' technological skills. We're back on Slido, so you should be able to use the same code. So if you still have it open, I just want us to take a minute, and I would love to learn more about which digital tools you already use. So some examples that I have: Kahoot, Quizlet, Nearpod, Newsela, Pear Deck, Edpuzzle. Do you not use any, or do you not see which one you use? Ooh. I'll give us like 20 seconds here. Ooh. It's so fun to watch the bars change. Another 10 seconds in case anyone wants to answer. So nobody said that they don't use any digital tools, and that's very, very cool to see. Kahoot is by far the winner. Quizlet, those are actually the top 4 we see right here are the 4 that we're going to take a deep dive into. So that could not have worked out any better. I'm really excited to see that. So let's explore some digital tools. We're going to take a deep dive into Kahoot, Quizlet, Newsela, and Pear Deck. We'll start with Kahoot, which was #1 in our little survey here. So Kahoot makes e-learning presentations and training more engaging. I think anybody who has used it before recognizes the image that I have on the screen here. Teachers can create multiple choice questions, and then students work in teams, or every student by him or herself, to kind of play these review games. And what's amazing about Kahoot is that it's a really powerful formative assessment tool. So if a teacher, a social studies teacher, is doing a review on a Civil War reconstruction unit, and they see this question: what was President Lincoln's plan for accepting Southern states back into the Union? If this is question 1, and the teacher sees that 50% of students did not say that it's a 10% plan, you can stop right there and immediately take the time to talk out, review what the 10% plan was, answer any student questions. So instead of kind of waiting to the end when students might have already done 20 other questions, you can stop right there. Students can write that down, ask clarifying questions. Wait, why wasn't it the Missouri plan? And you can talk about what the Missouri plan actually was. So it's a really great way to immediately assess student understanding and provide targeted instruction. And because it's really engaging, it's competitive. Anybody who's used it can hear that music in their sleep probably. Students are like excited to participate, and it increases knowledge retention. The next tool we're going to talk about is something that personally helped me get through high school and college. I'm a huge fan of Quizlet, but it's a web-based tool that allows users to create study tools such as interactive flashcards, tests, and study games. And when people think about Quizlet, they usually think about what I have on the screen here, kind of flipping the flashcards. It actually has a lot more that you can do with it. So if you look right here at the options, you can have flashcards, you can have tests, you can do review games, you can match terms to their definitions. You can play a very stressful gravity game where the asteroids are coming at you and you have to answer the question before the asteroid gets you. So there are a lot of ways that you can review this. And what's really awesome about this is it's something that that's student-gen. So students can kind of do this on their own time, and they could use this as a review. There are thousands of pre-made Quizlet packages for every single class. Teachers can make their own, students can make their own, and it really allows differentiated review and targeted practice. So you can have students working together to study, but what they do is going to look a little bit different based on what specific areas they need to practice. The next tool that I want us to dive into is Newsela. So Newsela is an instructional content tool that allows students to read articles at their appropriate reading level. What's really unique and cool about Newsela is that every single article, and there are thousands and thousands of them, all of these articles are leveled to 5 different styles. So that means that as a teacher, if I want my students, you can see here on the right-hand side, sea slug's head can crawl around. maybe not the article I would have gone with, but if you want your students to read that in your science classroom, and you have a student who's a really like a high achieving student who can read at the max style level, and you have an English language learner who needs a little bit of support, you can assign the same article out and they're going to read it at their just right reading level. So then you can talk about it as a class and everybody got the same information, but nobody was left behind. And then everybody was challenged at the appropriate level. All of these articles include multiple choice quizzes that are standards aligned and right prompts. You can also get that feedback immediately into your teacher binder and see how your students are performing. There's a vast archive of historical, scientific, and relevant current event articles. One of my personal favorite features about Newsela is that the company levels primary sources. So you could take something that can be really difficult for students, like the Constitution of the United States, and you can actually read it at a lower lexile level. So you can have students who are, in third, fourth grade interact with the primary source of the Constitution in a way that they understand. There's also instructional support for educators and more and more. I'm writing on my screen, and more additional support for teachers. So there's lesson plans that are built around these articles. The final tool that I'm going to talk about is Pear Deck. So Pear Deck is an interactive presentation tool that's used to actively engage students in individual and social learning. So kind of like I used Google Slides to create this deck that you're all looking at right now. Educators can create slides within PowerPoint or Google Slides and then build in interactive features that allow students to respond to questions or prompts on their own screens. So this is amazing, particularly for virtual or hybrid learning. Instead of a kind of passive learning experience where a teacher is talking over something, you can actually have students respond right on the screen. Educators can easily create formative assessments and get immediate feedback. So it requires students to participate in the learning experience as opposed to sitting back and letting a lecture go by. I hit on this a little bit. Sorry, I don't know what I did, if I drew on here or something. We're gonna let that go. But like I hit on, literacy is essential in every single subject area. Richard Vaca wrote a book called Content Area Reading, Literacy and Learning Across the Curriculum. And he said, adolescents entering the adult world in the 21st century will read and write more than at any other time in human history. They will need advanced levels of literacy to perform their jobs, run their households, act as citizens, and conduct their personal lives. So I just threw together a few suggestions for how to integrate literacy across subject areas and how digital tools can help with that. With math, like we talked about Quizlet, you can encourage the use of reading strategies for solving word problems. So, I remember geometry. There's a lot of key terms that students need to remember. Kahoot is really great because you could set the timer to run a little bit longer. You could have students work in groups to compete against each other and solve word problems. With science, you could have students create video projects, have them do vocabulary flashcards. And I think it's a lot easier to kind of think about how to incorporate it in history or ELA, but transcripts of speeches, videos of historic events, interactive tours. So during the pandemic, a lot of the greatest museums in the world created virtual exhibits. So that was something that was really great for social studies teachers. You could be like, you know what, we would have never got to go to the British Museum living here in the suburbs of Chicago, but now I can actually take my students on a tour of the British Museum and we can discuss art history. Some tips for integrating digital tools into your classroom. The first to do is find out what digital tools your students have used in the past and get their feedback. So I taught high school, so it was a little bit less scaffolding was required to get my students speed. By the time they got to me, they had used Kahoot and Quizlet and Newsela for years. If you're teaching younger grades, what have they used before? What skills do they need before you can really get started? Find out what's worked for them in the past. So if students have used Kahoot before, it might be really easy to start with that because they're more familiar. Also start small. I know I talked about 4 different digital tools. You don't have to incorporate all of them at the same time. Start with one, try it out, let students get comfortable, see how it works in your classroom, and then see if you want to integrate any more. And then as you're trying 1 or 2 different tools, things interesting. All of these features have a lot of different ways that you can implement them. For example, with Newsela, you could assign an article one time, the next you could have students do their own research, find their own articles. So then they're practicing different skills. They're practicing the research skills and finding articles that are relevant to their personal interests. Keep parents informed. I think that as we have students in an increasingly more digital world, we want to make sure that parents are aware of what their students are doing online. A really big thing that I know is being discussed more and more, and is really important, is being aware of limitations to technology and access. So if you are using digital tools, you want to make sure that students have access to that. So not every student is going to have Wi-Fi at home. Not every student is going to have one-to-one technology. So make sure that whatever you're integrating, it's something that they can do. And if it's not, then keep it in the classroom where you know that everybody will have equal access. And finally, communicate with administration and colleagues the resources that you're using. So all of the tools that I talked about have free versions that are really great to use. But if you're having a lot of success with one of them, talk to your administration. Maybe you get additional PD, get that rolled out throughout the whole school. Kind of make a case for why this is how this has worked in your classroom and why this might be beneficial to the school as a whole. Last question. After talking about some of these digital tools, which digital tools for literacy are you most likely to use? If you want to let me know why. If you said that you used one of the tools that we talk about today, let me know which one. But same, last little Slido slide. Pear Duck had the time of their life during the pandemic, let me tell you. Pear Duck and Zoom really, it was a difficult time, but from a business standpoint, they had a good time. Use Pear Duck to help engage learners. Pear Duck. Someone needs to send this presentation to them, let them know how popular they are. Thank you guys so much for answering and for participating with the little Slido slides. So reflecting on the end of this, we talked about what skills the students need to have in order to use digital tools, what access to technology do they have. Those are all things that you want to think about as you're thinking about how to integrate digital tools. Anybody who's a teacher in the past year, hopefully you are taking some well-deserved time to not think about the coming school year. So maybe in August, reflect on this, but how many digital tools are you planning on using and how many is too many? I know that a lot of school districts went all in the last school year, and that was an additional challenge. So how many is too many? What's kind of that sweet spot? And then overall, how will technology help your students develop greater literacy skills? Those are all things that we can think about as we don't think about this for the next few months, but in August start thinking about this again. Thank you so much for listening. If anyone has any questions, I would love to answer them. Or if you have questions that come up later, I have my email right here on the screen. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Julia, for a wonderful presentation. I found it very interesting, and you showed us a wide variety of tools. So a question that you asked was really intriguing for me, but we'll let Professor Wilson ask her question first.
I was looking for the little button that says raise hand, but I couldn't find it.
I think it's under reactions.
Oh, okay, very good. I just was wondering if any of these programs or any of these tools have an application outside of education and in the workplace. Like if the students—
A ton.
Okay, yeah. So
yes, so actually a lot of these resources, particularly Pear Duck and Kahoot, really build themselves primarily as like business tools, not just education tools. So they really work hard to get into the business realm. So they targeted as like trainings for adult learners. And I was surprised by Kahoot, but it really Both Kahoot and Pear Deck focus heavily, if you go to their about, when I was researching them, about me, education is kind of one of their focus areas. It is not the key market that they're after, which I found really interesting. I would say out of these, Newsela and Quizlet are the ones that are most in the educational realm.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question.
Any other questions?
Julia, I have a question.
Yeah.
I've used Pear Deck a lot and I can't just remember. Do you know, is after you've run a Pear Deck, are you able to save the answers? Are you able to save like what the students' responses were, or once that Pear Deck is over, is it just gone?
I think it's a premium feature. So it depends on the subscription that you have. So I know if you have the free version, I'm not sure if there's a way, but that is one of the premium features.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Julia, do you know what the difference is between Pear Deck and Nearpod?
They're
Do you know?
competitors. I think when Pear Deck was built, I think it was like built with Google. So the integration was more seamless initially, but I think at this point, they kind of work in very similar ways. So I didn't dive too much into Nearpod, but when I was reading about how Pear Deck came to be, it was built like using Google engineers, and the initial goal was kind of that like G Suite integration.
So you can add it as an extension for your Google Classroom and Google Docs much more easily.
I don't know how difficult Nearpod is at this point, but I know that was kind of when Pear Deck was designed. That was one of the key selling points.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got 2 minutes
Thank you guys
here.
so much. All right, we hit the timing.
Thank you very much. Perfect.
Yay.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, who's next? Laura?
Yes, awesome job, Julia.
Thank you.
I love the interactive pieces. They're very easy. You know, so many times when you're in a presentation, you're trying to look for the URL, the link, and you know.
Thank you guys for participating. I was worried.
Oh,
I really like Slido. That was really cool. I've never used that before. Thank you for showing me that. I could see there's some like fun student engagement, or even like staff engagement maybe.
Yeah, it's great for like PDs, I think.
Yeah. All right, I'll go ahead and get started. So hi, everyone. Thank you so much for attending this session. This is the first time I've really led a more formal professional development for adult learners. So I'm excited and ready to give it my best try. Today, we're going to talk about using Google Forms for data collection. And it's titled in the classroom, but really I think it's for anyone in the educational field, how we can use Google Forms to collect data. I'm going to start by putting a link in the chat. If everybody can go ahead and click on that link and have it open. You all will have a copy of the slides that I'll be posting here. There will be some live links within the slide, so if you can just have it open on a tab on your screen, I would appreciate it. I'll start with a quick introduction. So my name is Laura Rothamer. My background is all special education. For the last 10 years, I have been teaching special ed to secondary age students, so high school and up, to students with more moderate to significant disabilities. The last 5 years, I have been teaching and working with students at the transition age, so ages 18 to 21 years old in Illinois here. You get to stay in special ed until you turn 22. I have a passion for working with Google Suite tools, so not just Google Forms, which we'll talk about today, but also Google Docs, Gmail, the Drive, Google Slides. So if you're a Google Suite person like me, lots of great tools out there on the Google Suite. And I have an emphasis on, in my career, on finding ways to incorporate technology, not only for students to increase student learning outcomes, but also for teachers. I hate having to recreate the wheel when something's already been created. I love collaboration. It's one of the reasons that I love Google Forms. I'll go more into detail, but the idea that a lot of teachers have created things and Google Forms gives you a great way to share what you created or find something someone else has created, I think is hugely successful. So we're going to do a quick poll. So just go ahead in the chat for me, answer this question. How many of you currently use Google Suite in your current place of employment? And again, that can be Gmail, it can be Google Docs, it could be Jamboard. Couple of yeses. Okay, I do. Yes. Excellent. And if you don't, then I'll give you my best introduction and also share some resources that you can follow up with on your own. Especially Google Docs. I love Google Docs, Julie. I love that anybody can enter, add the information, students or staff-wise. Terry, okay, awesome. Okay, so a lot of familiarity with Google, which is great. All right, so we're going to start out. I have a survey for everybody to fill out, and we're going to use Google Forms because the presentation is on Google Forms. So if you guys can go to slide 3 of the presentation and click on your prior knowledge and experience survey. Just a quick tip while you're pulling that up, you do not need a Google email to fill out a form. So if you are in a classroom or a workplace setting and your students or coworkers do not have, if they don't have Google email, a Gmail, they can still fill out any survey you send them. All you have to do is adjust your settings. As long as require sign-in is unchecked, you will be able to, anyone can fill out your survey. So it's just a quick adjustment in the settings and anybody can use it. So I think sometimes people worry, oh, my school doesn't use Gmail, I can't use Forms. No, you still can. There is still a way for you and your students and your colleagues to use it. All right, so I'm going to try and share. I'm hoping that everybody can still see my results here. Can everybody still see my screen okay? Thank you for the head nod. Okay, awesome. So one of the reasons that I love Google Forms is that you get to see responses right away. So as you guys are filling out the form, I get to see the responses right away as people are filling them out. So I can already see, how comfortable a couple people are in filling out the Google form or using classroom data. Looks like some mixed reviews about using Google Forms in a spreadsheet. The slides in present mode. Okay, thank you, Dr. Angela. I think I just wasn't sure if is anyone having trouble clicking on the link? Maybe I'll leave that back up here. So yeah, the link is there. If you can't click on it in there, if you click on the link in the chat, that gives you all the slides. Just go to slide 3 and fill out the survey. So, but it's just an awesome, thank you so much for sharing your experience with me. And I love that instant feedback. I love that I can see results right away. So we have a couple of learning objectives for today's professional development. I'm hoping that everyone here will be able to walk away knowing how to use Google Forms as a way to collect and review student data. But again, it could be for staff, it could be for the community that you're working in. I'm hoping that you'll be able to, find a way to incorporate a way to use Google Forms to collect and review data. And we're also going to use another tool called Jamboard to take notes and create some action plans for using Google Forms. Jamboard's another tool on Google Suite. And I want to focus on an action plan today because I'm sure that many of you, like myself, have been to professional development. You hear some great stuff, and then you walk away from your computer and it's Saturday and you go enjoy the rest of your day. And I want everyone here to do that. But hopefully we make a quick action plan that helps us take the information we have and move it forward. So if you go to slide 4 of the presentation, again, the whole presentation is linked in the chat. We're going to use Jamboard. I'll do a quick preview of how to use Jamboard in case it is unfamiliar here to anyone. So starting right now, when you're pulled up on Jamboard, along the left side, you can see a square icon with 2 black lines. Go ahead and for me and click that square, pick a color and answer the question. You can type your information in here. You can type your name. You can leave it anonymous if you would prefer. But our first question is, how do you feel about using Google Forms for data collection in your educational role right now? Just based on the little information I've shared with you, how do you feel? Are you overwhelmed? Oh, someone says, I find it really easy to use. That's awesome. That's one of the reasons I love Google Forms. How do you feel about using it right now? And take your time to answer this. If you want to answer this throughout the lesson, once you open up Jamboard, it doesn't go away. So it stays here for us to answer some questions. I'm glad you find it easy to use. I'm hoping if you don't find it easy, I will help you through that today. I'm just going to move that over. I feel good. I love to use. Awesome. I love that. Thank you. Excellent. Breaking data down into different ways. That's exactly what we're going to look at later throughout the lesson. Excellent. Wonderful. And thank you so much for participating and for your feedback. I really appreciate it. All right. So I know Julia shared, ISTE is an amazing website. They have so many resources for educators, including some of these technology standards. The 2 that I think we're going to focus on today are standard number 1 being a learner. We're staying current. We're going to get current data from students. That's going to help us make decisions. And standard number 7 being an analyst. So we're going to use Google Forms. We're going to get data. We're going to see what it says, and we're going to make decisions that are going to affect our students, our programs, our communities. So I'm hoping that Google Forms can kind of help teachers grow in a learner and analyst standard. I also want to say, please pause at any time. Anytime you have a question, throw it in the chat. I'll do my best to keep up with it and check it, but please feel free to stop me at any time, and I would love to take any questions as we go. Here's just a few bullet points why I think you should consider Google Forms to collect data. First and foremost, I do believe that it's easy to create, and I love that it can be personalized to your individual needs. So if you are teaching a very specific course or information, you have the ability to personalize your information and your form as much as you would like to. Not only can it be personalized, but at the same point, it can be shared with colleagues. And that's what I love. I love collaboration. I love sharing. You can share Google Forms in a couple of ways. You can add them as a collaborator and they can see all of the data that you collect, or they can make a copy. They can just have your information, but they're the owner of the form, and they could send it off to whoever they need to send it off to. So lots of ways to share Google Forms. Forms are always stored in Google Drive. So if you're an educator like me, and sometimes parents want data right away, you don't have to flip through any notebooks. You don't have to look from classroom to classroom to find your data. All the data is right there on Google Drive. Never misplaced, never lost. And data is easily uploaded into a spreadsheet with the click of a button. So if you maybe you have a boss who likes a numbers or spreadsheet, way to view data. Maybe you're trying to show a parent or an organization some data you've collected. With one click of a button, your data goes into a spreadsheet, and from there you can organize it however you'd like to, whether it's making a graph or a chart, it's all right there in spreadsheets. So what type of data can you collect with Google Forms? Here are kind of my top and favorite ways to collect data, especially like at the beginning of the school year or the beginning of a term or a project. Questionnaires, surveys, and polls, not only for students, but I think for staff too. When you're getting to know students or staff, you want to get their opinions. Maybe you want to learn their favorites about something. It could be a great icebreaker tool for the beginning of an activity. Just for a quick and easy questionnaire, survey, or poll. I use it as a daily check-in for my students when I'm kind of trying to track their social, emotional skills and where they're at throughout the day. We do a quick daily check-in with Google Forms. It allows them to tell me kind of how they're feeling to start. We use zones of regulation. What zone are they in? Google Forms is a great tool for assessments and exit tickets. Google Forms could be as elaborate as you want to make them for an intricate assessment for a high school, AP college course, all the way down to like a 2 or 3 question exit ticket where you want to just engage the students and see how did that lesson go today? Do they have any understanding of what I taught? Do we need to review? And the last way that I collect data is for to give students a chance to sign up for certain classes or activities, especially in my end of the world in special ed. We talk a lot about self-determination. We use Google Forms often for students to sign up for something, to make a choice, and then the data is all right there and you can see what they chose and did they choose to participate in that choice. So giving some students some choices and letting them follow through with that. If you are giving a survey or a poll, a quick tip or a thought in my mind would be maybe try giving that form anonymously, see what the results are like if you ask for names versus don't ask for names. Sometimes I think that students and adult learners are a little more comfortable sharing without their name tied to something. So if you're giving something live and you're sharing the results live, maybe consider being anonymous. So just don't require them to type in their name and see what the results are if you're going to go live. All right, so I'm going to go through a little bit of a Google Forms demonstration and example and how to look at the data, how to review the data. When I'm done, I have a couple of different resources to check out. Feel free to check them out at any point, on your free time. I know it's Saturday, so it doesn't have to be today after our presentations, but they're there for you. They're in the slides to check them out, and I'll run through them. So I'm going to exit my screen real quick and pull up an example of Google Forms. Okay, so let me pull up the questions first. So just so everybody can see here is what a Google form is an example of one that I used last fall looks like. So when you're making a Google form, it's completely able to be manipulated to how you want to make it. So I was assessing my students' daily living skills, and I had all different kinds of questions for them to fill out. When you are adding a question, you have all different kinds of responses. So students can, type in their answer. Students can make choices about, they can do selection, so all kinds of different ways to fill out the answer. When it comes to responses, this is my favorite part of Google Forms. Since we're talking about data collection, I'm really going to focus on that today. There are a lot of different ways you can review the data you get from a Google form. If you are a visual learner and you want to see how your class did as a whole, you can look at a summary. So here I was asking my students about sorting laundry. I had different laundry questions. I wanted to know, how did they sort their laundry? I can see that most of my class, or more than half, sorted them dark from light. Other students had different ways of sorting their laundry. Another question, I saw most of my class knew to add laundry detergent. A couple picked dish soap and one added pretzels. I'm not sure. Hopefully that, maybe that was just a silly answer. Maybe they really thought pretzels, and I'm hoping they chose not to do that because I don't think your laundry is going to get done very well. So, but again, the data was right there, right? I sent out the form. You can kind of see a summary of what their data looks like. You can also look at a student's individual answers. So say you are focusing on one student and you want to see, maybe they're a really high achieving learner, maybe they're really struggling in your class. When you're using Google Forms, the data you can look at, you can individually see what they answered, which is, I think it's a great feature. Last but not least, when you're using Google Forms, when you hit this button, this green box looks kind of like a present. It exports your data into a spreadsheet. So now all of a sudden, you guys can see here, all of my data is moved into a spreadsheet. And from here, you can make lots of different choices on what you want to do. You can use graphs, you can make charts through spreadsheets. You can organize. I like to sort my answers a lot. So if you go sort A to Z by question, you can see kind of as a class which students picked what answer. So lots of different ways to view data, and it kind of depends on your probably personal preference as well. How do you like to view the data? What's the most meaningful for you? What's going to give you the best information to make some decisions about your teaching, your professional development, whatever you're presenting on. So I'm going to run through a couple of different resources here on the screen. Feel free to check them out at your leisure. If you are hi, Dr. Angela, go ahead.
May I ask a question, please?
Of course.
Could you please show how to add questions and then show the different kinds of questions, because it's so easy.
Yes, you got it. No problem.
You get a second. Thank you.
You got it. I'll run through a couple of resources and then I'm happy to, absolutely. So if you like to learn from videos, I've created a YouTube playlist. Again, it's all there in the presentation, but some different videos on how to get started with Google Forms or how to collect data. So if you're inspired by today and you want to kind of watch some videos, I go to YouTube often for everything, but especially when it comes to Google tools, YouTube has so much information from educators about how to use Google Suite tools in your classroom, in your job, whatever your role is. So YouTube playlist is linked there, as well as I have a quick blog. It's a special ed education teacher, but she has an amazing blog about setting up a digital data collection system. So even if special ed is not what you are teaching right now, she has amazing resources, super great visuals. So if you're kind of a visual learner, if you'd like to read that way, it's a great tool to, another resource to have, again, if you're inspired by today and want to kind of get started with Google Forms. So while I'm here, I'll show everybody really quickly what the different questions look like. So you're going to go to your Google Drive, you go to the little square and you open up Forms. There are some really cool templates, so you don't have to start blank if you don't want to. If you click up here on Template Gallery, there's all different kinds of templates. Since we're educators, I'll go down to the bottom, and there are some education templates down here, from exit ticket, assessment, worksheet, and course evaluation. And you're still able to edit any of these templates as much as you want. So if there's an extra question, you don't have to use everything here, but there are some templates created. I'll start with a quick blank one to show everyone kind of the different questions. So when you're ready to add a new question, you're going to hit this plus sign over here, and then you're going to choose what type of question you want to do. So at the top, you can see short answer and paragraph. Those are going to be questions that students can type their information in. The next three down are multiple choice checkboxes and drop down. I often use those as a special educator, and my students struggle with typing long sentences or even typing words altogether. So I use a lot of these three, the multiple choice, checkbox, or drop down. That will give students just all they have to do is click one thing. They've answered the question, they can move on. There are even a few that I've never used. I've never used the checkbox grid, but I would say just explore and play around with it. Once you click one, you add your information. The question can be, what did you learn today? And then you can type in your answers here. So lots of different options. I will suggest every form that I make, I always start with name. And then over here, if everybody can see where it says required, I always turn required on for your name, because otherwise a lot of students may not type in their name. They're going to turn in the form and you're going to have no idea who it belongs to. So I would 100%, I would always start with name, and I would always require that question to be answered. Just so you know, when you get the form back, you know who it belonged to if you're keeping track of, each student or each staff member's input. Dr. Angela, did that help?
Yes, would you be able to show us like the options of what did you learn today, or create a question and then show us what it looks like as a form or a survey, a mini survey, and also show us how to send one out?
Sure, yes, you got it.
Thank you.
So we'll call it today's quiz. I'm gonna require that everybody has their name. Our first question can be, what did you learn today? We'll say a lot, a whole lot. I'm hoping that everyone picks something positive. and we'll try one more question. So you can add a different question here. We could do a short answer. How will you use the info? So once you are here, once your quiz is ready to go, you're going to hit send over here at the top. There's a few ways you can send out a Google form. You can just type in everybody's email right here. I often will just I will just click on this link here, copy the link, paste it into my Google Classroom, paste it into an email to send to family members. So that would be the way that you would send a quiz out to be taken. If you were working with another coworker and you wanted your coworker to see the results, you would go down here to add collaborators. You would type in their email and then your coworkers can see all your results. So I would not suggest adding students to here because then students could see their peers' information. We want to keep that private. But if you wanted to add, if you were co-teaching, if you're working together on a project and you want someone else to see the data, this would be a great place to add them as a collaborator and they get to review the results the same way that you get to see them. All right, Crystal, thank you for your patience.
Hi, Laura. Can you show us again how you transported that information into a Google form or the Excel? How did you?
Yes, the spreadsheet, no problem. So let me go back to one that has some information. All right, so this is one, again, this is what I had my students fill out in December of 2020. You're always, once you're in responses, this is where you're gonna view the data. So down here is summary. That means you're gonna see the whole class. This is individual question. Individual means you're gonna see each student, each participant's information. And it's this green box here. It's like a little green present. Hopefully it makes you happy, like a gift would. You would click on that green box, Crystal, and it right away pops it into a spreadsheet. So you're gonna see it all there.
Thank you.
So our Jamboard is live. Again, we're gonna take our time. Feel free to read these resources overall, but on page 2 of our Jamboard, in the next few days, if you get a chance, maybe add what was one thing you learned from a video or blog that you found helpful. Again, nothing we have to fill out right in this moment, but it's here for you. I'd love to see your responses over the next few days. Was there anything in the resources that was helpful to you? All right, so moving on, here's a few tips and tricks that I like when it comes to using Google Forms. So important questions. If there is a question that you want every person to answer, I would 100% make that required sign on. That makes sure that students cannot turn it in or staff cannot turn it in without completing the question. So again, things like name, maybe the class that they're in, if you're teaching different level classes, I would always have those required. In my experience teaching my students with more significant disabilities, I often have every question required. It's kind of like a safe check for my students. They can't turn it in until every question is done. If you wanted to teach, or if you wanted to assess a student's skills on being able to read a assessment and make sure they're filling out all the questions, and you don't have to turn required on for all of them, but I would require their name or their email, some kind of identifier so you know who's turning in the form. I would choose the best way to view the data that meets your needs. So if you liked that summary view with the pie chart, awesome, keep it that way. If you want to focus on individual student answers, skip the summary and go right to individual. If you are a Excel spreadsheet person and that's the way your brain works, I would use that. So just pick the best way that works for you. And also, I like the sort feature a lot. So kind of at the bottom right of my screen, if you sort the questions one at a time, it kind of groups answers. So you can kind of see real fast which 3 got it right, which 6 got it wrong, and which 2 have a totally different answer. So I think the sorting feature is a great feature to have when you're looking at the data on Excel or on it's spreadsheets, but spreadsheets, it works very similar to Excel if you're familiar with Excel. All right, so if you can pull up my slides one more time, I have a couple of things I'm hoping people are willing to fill out. One is a reflection and an evaluation. Again, we'll use Google Forms because today's lesson is on Google Forms. And I'll just share that I truly welcome feedback. It's my first time giving professional development to adult learners, and I'm looking forward to improving on my skills. So it's an anonymous survey, so feel free to be truthful, and I do appreciate your feedback, and we'll be reading it to make improvements. The last thing after that is done is if everybody can come back, and there's one more Jamboard we'll fill out together, and that's going to be our action plan. So kind of like earlier, again, it's Saturday. I want everyone to have an awesome afternoon and a great Father's Day tomorrow. But just today, before you leave, add a Post-it note to page 3 of our Jamboard and think about, like, what is one way I could use Google Forms in my, in my role in education, like starting next week or starting when school starts. How could I actually use this? So take a couple of minutes, fill out the reflection. If you're willing to, if you are uncomfortable, of course, I won't make you, but the reflection is completely anonymous. And then, yeah, head over to Jamboard and we'll go over to our 3rd page. If you can't find the Jamboard, so right, we're going to go to page 3. There's there's little arrows up here at the top. Click that right arrow till you're all the way on page 3, and that's going to be our action plan. So add a sticky note, pick a color. My action plan will be what? How could I use Google Forms that would benefit my students, my coworkers, or my community? And if anyone is willing to share, if you'd prefer to share verbally, that would be awesome. Thank you, Julia and Julie. Parent survey at the beginning of the school year. I love that. We use this for parents all the time. And again, you don't need a Gmail to fill this out. So don't worry if your parents have Outlook, if they have like old school Hotmail, AOL, if that's still, maybe that's still out there. But yeah, anybody can fill this out.
I haven't used Jamboard before, and I love the idea of using it as like a really visual brainstorm because I work remotely. So this is like such a cool way, I think, to brainstorm with coworkers. So thank you for sharing Jamboard.
My pleasure. And Jamboard is great. Same thing like your forms, Julia. The data is not going anywhere. So this Jamboard is here, and you can come back and review it. Sometimes we use different things and then it gets lost in the internet, but Jamboard is part of your Google Suite. So it's there in your drive forever. You're not going to lose it. All right, so yeah, thank you so much for filling out the reflection. Thank you for going back to your Jamboard. There's a lot of links to click on, so it makes me think in the future for my PD, was it too many links to kind of go back and forth to? Maybe something I can think about for next time. Here's my contact information, email, LinkedIn. I'll be honest, I'm very new to Twitter, but I would love if you find me on Twitter, I will find you back, and I'm trying to learn how to use that to build my own professional learning network. But please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions or support if you want to brainstorm. After this, something comes to your mind, I would love to see your email. I'm off all summer. I would be happy to respond and try and support you in your future learning and use of Google Forms. And yeah, just thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. I welcome your feedback in the evaluation survey. And if you were, again, really inspired and want to take it to the next level, a few more resources at the end of the presentation, just some other tips and tools for how to use Google Forms and how to get started on making it a part of your data collection system.
Thank you so much, Laura. That was a wonderful presentation, very informative, and I love the way that you introduced the interactive elements and also shared resources, and importantly, shared the why you might use these tools, which is so that's what I need when I'm in the professional development. It's like, oh, this looks really great, but how would you use it? And so once you get a few ideas, you can come up with your own. So thank you so much. Any questions from anyone?
Laura?
Yes, Julie.
I noticed in Jamboard when I made my plan of action, my sticky note went right over somebody else's and covered it up. What did I do?
No problem. So Julie, I'll just let me get on the Jamboard link. So once you're there, all you have to do is you can just grab it and move it
Just
over.
drag it. Okay,
Yep, just
great.
drag it over. So maybe that's a good reminder though, that if your students are going to use it, you might want to teach them how to do that. So,
Okay.
because
right,
I know
very
that's a good point. Yeah. So yeah, just grab it, move it over. You can make it bigger or smaller, whatever size works for you. So
It always does that, which is a little unfortunate.
yeah, it's too bad they don't kind of pop them up
Yeah,
sporadically. We can tell Google. Sometimes people always tell me to just tell Google, and they're open to suggestions. So I like
Thank
the
you.
icebreaker idea. I like the sharing ideas. Yeah, these are great ways to use.
I have
Google
one
Forms.
colleague that actually does this, but he doesn't do it on Jamboard. He has a big whiteboard or a big sheet of paper or a whiteboard. And at the beginning of class, he'll give them some kind of, even they do it by themselves, just spontaneously, because they've gotten used to this, but they go up and if there's something they're working on, they'll just all put their little ideas down. And then he uses it as a launching point for different discussions. And so it works pretty well.
That's
Great idea.
awesome. I love that idea.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you,
And,
everyone.
thanks for hanging in there and waiting for Crystal's very important presentation.
All right, we'll get started. I'm going to share my screen with all of you today. All right, over here. Hold on. I'm going to click on the present. So welcome everybody to my presentation on digital tools to support creativity and innovation in the classroom. About me, I teach first grade in Barrington School District. I'm a dual language teacher, and this is my 11th year teaching. And I would like to learn more about using digital tools to support student learning and creativity. Today's agenda, we will begin with connecting today's learning objectives with the ISTE standards for educators. We will then take a poll using direct poll. You will learn how to create a digital book using Book Creator. You will learn how to make a short video using Adobe Spark. And last but not least, you will reflect on your learning using Google Docs and you will submit your reflection. Okay, so learning objectives. The two ISTE standards that I focused my presentation on is a citizen standard and a designer. So my learning objectives for this presentation are: you will be able to explore technology to create learning experiences that foster independent learning. You'll be able to design authentic learning experiences using digital tools to maximize and deepen learning. And finally, we'll create experiences for learners to make positive, social responsible contributions. Okay, so now we will do a direct poll. This website, it quickly evaluates the audience. It offers real-time visual responses. You can use any digital device. You can simply click on the link, or you can use the QR code on the right. And you can also use this for educational purposes in the classroom. So you can click on the link, or click on the link, or you can use the QR code. I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation under the chat button. I will do that now.
How can we use the QR code?
Okay. Or you can use that. Yeah, I'm not sure. Where can I share this? Here, sorry.
In the chat. So I'm using the QR code by just using the camera on my phone. And I just go to take a picture and it automatically comes up. It recognizes QR code. And at the top, it says website, QR code, and then you can click on the link.
Okay, thank you so much. And this is the first question. So what grade do you teach? So I have two. I'm not sure I have to press play on the. Or if I have to do it through here. Are you able to see the questions on the?
You can say next.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Okay.
And then flip back to, okay, so that would be, okay.
How often do you use digital tools with your students? So almost every day, a few times a week, once a month, or rarely. And okay. I'm going to move on to the next question. How confident do you feel about using digital tools to support creativity?
I love this tool, Crystal. It's just coming up automatically in on my screen on the phone.
Awesome. I'm going to go on to the next question. Have you used Book Creator app before? Yes or no? We'll continue to the next question. Have you used Adobe Spark before? Thank you for participating, and that's the end of the poll. So I see that all of you have not used Book Creator before or the Adobe Spark. So today I will help you get started, or I'll show you how to begin a book on Book Creator. Before that, I'll talk about creativity a little bit. So imagination and creativity are important skills for the future. And as teachers, we need to make sure that we are embedding creativity in our classroom. Teaching students how to think using many tools is more important than teaching them what to think. So we learn by doing. And I will explore 2 digital tools that will help you integrate creativity. The first tool is Book Creator. So Book Creator, you can access it as an app or the online version. It's an easy to use multimedia tool that allows you to create digital books. Students can create, read, and publish books, thus making thinking and learning visible. Teachers can also use the online version and share our classroom library, so students can create their books there and share them with the class. Now we will watch a short video on Book Creator.
Book Creator is a tool for students of all ages and all abilities to create, read, and publish interactive books. Students can get creative with amazing drawing tools, including auto draw, and they love the emojis. You can add an image, you can add a video, you can do text drawing, and you can bring in pens to draw stuff. It's really simple. The things that come out of it are amazing because of that simplicity. What's really cool is that students can now publish their own works and books. They can make it into an ebook, they can send it home to their parents, or they can put it online. So it's really cool. One of the things that Book Creator does really well is that it allows me as a teacher to have the students make their thinking and learning visible. So they can tell me what they're thinking, they can take a picture, put it inside of Book Creator, and then explain to me the thought process. It's really game-changing for education.
All right, so today, let's get started. You will need to create a teacher account on your own. Today, we will not create a teacher account. You will do that on your own. I shared with you the presentation, so you can click on the link and create your own account. Now, follow me as I create a digital book with you. Wait did I have it right here? So once you've created your teacher account, you will have a teacher dashboard. You can create many libraries, or you can create how many you would like to. I will go to my first grade library. So this is what you will have here. So you will go to the new book rectangle here. It's very easy, so just click on it. Then it gives you a choice. You can either create a blank book or use some of the templates that they have here. You also have different themes. Okay, today I will choose to create a blank book. And you can decide to either do portrait, square, or the other one here, landscape. I'm gonna click on portrait. And the very first thing that you will see is the cover page. So think about where you're gonna be creating. You can create, I've used this before as a science journal, documenting their learning when they planted a seed. I also used it for writing. When they're writing their small moments, they write it on a piece of paper, then they can pass it over to the book reader. But so you can just click, there's 3 icons. So you click on the plus sign and you can either type on text. So if I'm going to type the title, let's say my summer vacation. I'm done. You can also press the microphone if you want to use your voice, and they'll type it for you, and click done. Then you'll see it's highlighted. You can move it around that way, or you can also delete it or move it in any direction. You can also draw, or you can also add like a picture. You can use the camera, or you can import pictures from your computer. You can also, like, if you're writing a book on your summer vacation, you can look for images here. So I type beach and I like this one. I will add it. And there's your picture. So if it's highlighted, you can move it, or you can, like I said, delete it or make it smaller. All right. You can also change the color of the background. If you go to the letter I, you can change the color. You can also find borders to make it fun. Let's go back to drawing. Where's the pen? So you could go to pen. You can see there's different pens here. You can choose the thickness of them. You can draw anything. You can draw yourself here. It's hard to draw on the computer. And all done. Then you can click on done. And then this is like your drawing. Forgot the eyes. You can move it around, or you can delete it as well. And once you're done, you can go ahead to the following pages, and then you can do the same thing. You can add pictures. You can import pictures from your computer, use a drawing tool. You can use the text or record your voice to explain your thinking on that page. The eye lets you change the background and add borders, and the play is when you're done. And there's also like a feature where it plays it for you, it tries to read it to you in many languages. And that is it when you're done and you're done. So you can go back and it's there. So I did talk about how you can share the library with your classroom. It's on the tab, it says show invite code. And then if you're a teacher, you want to share this library, you can click on invite code, and the students will type this in and join the library, so then they can read the books that you have created. And there's also templates. So I haven't used one, but you can look at one here. It's about me. It's pretty, they have everything for you. Just have to add your thinking here. So that's pretty cool. And if you didn't like, hold on, a book, you can also delete it. Oh, let me go back to my books. So if I don't like this book, and I can delete it in here, or you can import it or move it or copy it, delete, or you can also share it with this icon here. You can download it, you can print it, or publish it online. So this is Book Creator for you. If you need more support on how to create a book creator, you can click on the link in the website or in the Google Docs. So the next app that I will talk to you about, oh, Laura, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
No problem. Crystal, can you remind, what age are your students you work with now?
First grade.
And I was just, this looks, are they able to like do this with a little, did they need some like help at the beginning to kind of teach them how to do it? Or do they just get it? They know TextOL? Like,
No, you first have to teach them. It has to how to use those features. The first one, they can also explore, but you will have to do something very simple, maybe something about them, like add a picture or draw the title, like what we did, very simple. The first lesson will be how to use those features or those icons, and then you can start integrating like the learning objectives and your learning goals.
very cool.
So that's what I've used before. Like the first time it's just learning those little things or let them explore on their own. Dr. Angela?
I just want to point out the awesome video that you made so that with the demonstration.
Oh yeah, thank you. It's right here. If you click, I shared with you the link to my presentation. And if you click on there, I made my own video on Screencastify, and it walks you through how to create the book creator. It's very easy to just use those icons and help you draw, put like a picture, or even search for pictures online or embed one of your own on the computer. The next app that I will talk about is Adobe Spark Video. So Adobe Spark is a storytelling app that combines motion graphics, audio recording, music, text, and photos to create a very short video. You can even add your own voice to explain your thinking. You can make book trailers, short videos on any topic, food recipes, and much more. And this, let me go to the next page here. Adobe Spark Video it's part of the Adobe Spark suite. So today we will explore the video one. There's also a Adobe Spark page or the Adobe Spark post. So there's 3 different apps linked to this suite. And they all support like say creativity, making videos, graphics, posters, presentations. There's many possibilities with this suite, but today we will focus on Adobe Spark Video. Today, like the book creator one, we will not create a video or a teacher account. You will do that on your own, and you can use my presentation to click on the link to create your own teacher account. And right now we will go ahead to the Adobe Spark. Once you created your teacher account, here's your teacher board or dashboard. So it's very simple. It tells you what some of the things that you can use here with Adobe Spark Video. But today we will learn how to create the video. So we will click on the plus sign. You will click on video. And it's asking you what you want to name this great story. So I'm just going to write demo. Click next. This app also has templates that you can choose from. If not, you can just start from scratch and flow it up. Give it a couple minutes. And there's also, it gives you like a quick tutorial for you. I will play it for you if that's okay. It's only a minute. If that's okay. So this is your main screen. So you will see that it's composed of like different slides. So in order to create a video, it asks you if you want to embed a photo, a video, text, or an icon. If I will do photo first, you can also you can decide if you're going to upload a photo from your computer. You're going to take a photo in the moment, or you can find free photos. So you can click here. Let's say I'm making a short video on dolphins. And you can choose one of the pictures here. And it will embed. So there are different slides. So there's one slide here with that picture of the dolphin. You can make it a little smaller, or you can make it bigger. You can also go ahead and go to the plus sign, and you can add the text here. So you can also, like, well, not in this slide, but you had the option of doing a video, or you can delete the slide if you don't want it. You can add music to the slide. So you can decide to have the music on or turn it off. You can preview some of the songs here. Oh. That's real pretty. You can play. And yep, I like that one. So it's loading it up so I can preview it here. And then there's that first slide. We could go on to we can add another slide. And here I can decide to add an icon, and that's just like a little icon, and it will type whatever you typed in the beginning. So you can put anything here for the icon again. You can also, so I click on there, you can change the theme. You could have done that in the beginning. I'm sorry, you can change the theme or the layout here. Like they push the icon to the side, and if you wanted to type text here. Okay. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Or live alone. Okay. And then, so they added the icon. You can type words there. We can add another slide, and you can add video here. I don't have a video for dolphins, but I can put a video that I had here. So you can click any video. So you click on open. That's my sister. It only allows you to do 30 seconds. So I know this is not related to dolphins, but it's a read out loud. But so it only allows you to do 30-minute videos on the presentation. So let's say we wanted that part. You can click on save. It's saving the clip for you. Okay, and sorry. So then you can go ahead and go back to, like I said, music. If you want to change the music for that slide, play it. That's fine. Okay. If you want to go ahead, maybe I want to say my voice here. You can hold down the dolphins and the dolphins. All right. And if you want to see the whole presentation, you just press on this play button. The dolphins. And sorry, and that's book creator, or not book creator, Adobe Spark. So it compiles like the pictures, the icons or videos all together, and you can have your own voice there. And then you can you have the choice to share it and publish it or download it, and it will save to your Google Drive. That is Adobe Spark Video. I can show you here an example. It's a very short example on spiders. Very cool.
Welcome to my presentation on arachnids.
Spiders have 8 legs and are beautiful creatures.
Spiders' webs look like symmetrical patterns.
Welcome to my presentation.
Okay, that's it. That was a short video on Adobe Spark video. I have resources. I have linked Adobe resources for Book Creator. What is Book Creator? Back to School with Book Creator, 50 ways to use Book Creator in the classroom. So that was a great resource. There's also like 7 apps for student creators. I added links for like articles. And then there's also resources for Adobe Spark Video, how to create videos easily and quickly with Adobe Spark, how to make a video. There's many links here. In my 2 slides, I added the resource link where that's a video that I created on Screencastify on how to create these videos. Now we will go to the reflection piece. What are some ways you can cultivate creativity in the classroom? How can you support creativity using Book Creator? How can you use Adobe Spark for creation in the classroom? And would you use Book Creator or Adobe Spark in the future, and how? So under my presentation, you can click on the reflection piece and participate in my survey for today. And, oops, sorry. And that's the end of my presentation. If you like more information on any of these tools, please contact me at my email below. And that's it.
Crystal, is one easier than others for the students to use? I'm just picturing like my students. I really like both for myself teaching, but I'm wondering like which one is more accessible for my students with disabilities? Does one seem easier to use student-wise than others?
I personally like the Book Creator is more like a book if you wanted to create a book, and the Adobe Spark Video is like a short video where you want to story tell some your learning or showcase what you learned or on any topic. So the video is kind of shorter, and the book is more pages. It takes my students longer to use the Book Creator because it's more time consuming, or the books are lengthier.
Thanks so much. Sorry, go ahead, Laura. Thanks so much for that wonderful presentation, Crystal. These are awesome resources, and you presented very well. So give us a great idea about how to use these. I can see these scaling up from first grade all the way to higher ed. So, and I love the simplicity of it. I've heard of Adobe Spark, but I've never tried it, but I think I will now that you've inspired me. I have a question about the Book Creator, and this is right in your wheelhouse because you're a dual language teacher. How might you use that in the classroom to explore dual language?
Well, my students, we teach them in first grade, they learn how to read and write in Spanish. So they just write it in Spanish. I have to change like the keyboard because it keeps going back to the English version. So if you're going to use a different language, change the keyboard setting. But yeah, they're able to type it all in Spanish. And there's a feature where it does play it in Spanish, but I don't know if it's with every language, but there's like a little of an accent when it reads it to them, but it is in Spanish. So
there are many types of Spanish, right?
Yeah, so yeah, the kids like to hear when it reads it to them, but yeah.
It would be interesting to know if it supported other languages as well.
Yeah, it said it. I haven't used it with other languages, but it said it did support other languages. It's not just Spanish. There's other languages that it does read the books in.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for Crystal? I'm sure you've given us all a lot to think about, Crystal. Thank you so much. And thanks to all our presenters today, and thanks to our attendees that hung in there. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you. And if you have any questions, just reach out to either myself or the presenters, and have a wonderful Saturday. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for coming, Terry.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to use Book Creator.
Wonderful.
Check out the 50 ways on the resource presentation, or in the presentation, there's 50 ways that you can embed it into your classroom. Like there's a me book, or like a recipes or math book, or there's different ways that you can use Book Creator. There's a link in my presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been second grade. I'm moving back down to first grade. So I'm afraid we'll spend the first half of the year just logging in, but that's okay. We're going to get there.
Yeah,
Well.
that's the smaller children. Yeah, there's a lot of, yeah, you spend like the first couple of weeks learning how to log in, or the different
Yes.
pieces on it before you get to the content.
Thank
Professor
you so
Wilson,
much.
Can I speak to you after class, please? We're friends.
Julie, so cute. Thank you, Dr. Angela.
Thank you. Wonderful job. I'm so proud of you.
See you later. Have a nice weekend.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Crystal. Great job.
Same to you. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Nice to meet you, Julie. Bye.
Thanks for being there. You're still on mute, dear. You're still on mute.
I really enjoyed it. It was so interesting. And
Thanks
I
for
was trying to
coming.
do my active listening, so I hope you didn't mind my questions.
No, it was wonderful for the students. They were so incredibly nervous.
Yeah, I could see that. And you were really good too, because I could see that you were giving them positive feedback to make them feel more comfortable. I could tell that. Yeah.
Oh,
You got to see my hair, hon. Look, you can't tell in this light at all. It almost looks platinum blonde a little bit. The highlights, and then it's got like copper in it and stuff, but you can't really see. You can kind of see. You'll see when you see it.
Pretty
It's very
color.
nice. I'm going to get you to the salon, sweetheart.
Yeah, I gotta.
It is really
gotta go.
nice.
I'm feeling really old.
Yeah, me too. But what can you do?
Mm,
So I miss you so much.
I miss you too, honey.
Yep. So how's the baby?
He was having a hard time going for number 2 today. So
Oh,
because
yeah.
kids they just went to Buffalo and came back. They were there for like 2.5 days, and
Oh, they
poor
were.
little baby. Yeah, he was
So,
training, but
are
Marcella-
you doing a mixture of breast milk and formula? Because she traveled. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's so nice that you're there and she can do that.
yeah. It was like this
Oh,
morning at like 3 a.m. and I was like, it's not Nana time yet. So, but
I bet that she missed the baby terribly. What's the baby's name? I forgot.
Zaid.
Zaid. Okay. I bet she missed him terribly.
No, they took him.
Oh, they took him.
But
Oh, I
that's
thought you stayed with the baby. Oh, okay. All right.
No, I've
So
got.
you're by yourself. That was easier for you to concentrate on what you needed to do.
Well, yeah, I haven't been able to concentrate, and I've got such a backlog of work. I
How's
really.
your head? How's your head?
It's okay. I'm tired now. Like I am emotionally drained after supporting these young ladies, because this is the first presentation for Laura and Crystal, so they were like beyond nervous, and like the audience is going to be probably going to be small, and so
Yeah, and supportive, because that's the way it's supposed to be for educators.
yeah, it was. I'm so glad that you came, because it was really hard. I've been tweeting this out, and
Oh
but
yeah.
people just
Well,
aren't
you can tell them, and I think this will make them feel good as well.
Oh, we're still
I
recording.
would